Time does not forget. It waits. Beneath the crust of ancient Earth, buried in a sealed cavern untouched by light for 65 million years, a message blinks in code on a titanium plate not yet invented. In the year 3149, Dr. Aaron Vale, a temporal linguist, finds a signal pulsing through layers of fossilized data. The message is not human. It speaks of extinction, a betrayal of time itself tearing apart. Someone or something in the Jurassic era recorded a final warning meant only for the future. Now the message is live, and something else is waking with it. Setting, characters, premise. The year is 3149. Earth is not dead, but it no longer breathes the way it once did. Skies are lined with orbital grids filtering light into calculated rays. Forests exist only in biodomes maintained by climate AI. Oceans are preserved in containment arcs regulated by nanite currents. The world is stable and artificial and silent. History has been replaced by simulation. Deep beneath what was once Patagonia lies Vault 6, a subterranean archive built to protect the planet's geological memory. Inside its core chamber, Dr. Aaron Vale, a temporal linguist and paleocode specialist, works alone. He is a man of method and silence, chosen not for his charisma, but for his ability to read time like language. Aaron is in his early 40s, tall, lean, and marked by the kind of sharpness that comes from years of discipline. His lab is sterile, white walls pulsing with soft AI-guided lighting, each surface covered with fossil samples embedded with synthetic neural dust. He came to Vault 6 to study fossil-coded memory, a controversial field claiming that extinct species might have stored pre-conscious biological data, like instinctive warnings, into bone structures and growth patterns. Most call it fringe science. Aaron calls it listening. 2 weeks ago, Vault 6 detected a data anomaly, a pulsing frequency buried in fossil code beneath a 70-ton rock of fossilized tree resin, the kind only found in the Jurassic period. It should not have been transmitting anything. It should not have been possible. But the signal is there, rhythmic, structured, almost linguistic. Aaron hasn't slept since the signal first came online. His days are consumed by attempts to decode it. The message is not in any known language, but it follows a pattern of tense shifts, temporal dissonance. It behaves like speech caught in a loop, fighting against the constraints of time. He calls the message the word. AI systems assigned to Vault 6 tried analyzing it, but failed. They classified the signal as non-human logical recursion. Whatever is speaking was never meant to be understood by machines. That is why Aaron was called in. And after 11 days of silence, the message changed. Where once there were pulses, now there is sound. A deep vibration like a voice passed through stone. The word is speaking now. And today it said his name. The problem arises. Tension builds. The voice had no origin. It came through the resin like thunder trapped in glass. It repeated the same word again and again. Vale. Aaron froze the first time he heard it. Vault 6 ran its standard auditory diagnostics. No internal malfunction. No external broadcast interference. The voice came from within the fossil. He recorded the sound. Ran wave analysis. No digital signature. No echo trail. It wasn't synthesized. It wasn't playback. It was a raw emission, a voice calling through time. Aaron activated his backup memory implant and reviewed the signal history. The pulse had started as a nonverbal rhythm, then evolved. Structured gaps began to appear between the waves. A linguistic pattern emerged based on time intervals, not language syntax. It was speech in the fourth dimension. He fed the wave patterns into a chronotemporal interpreter. The system returned only 3 words. Vale, come listen. It was not a command. It was a plea. Aaron's hand trembled slightly as he opened the isolation chamber containing the fossil. The resin was dense, amber-black in color, carbon dated to roughly 160 million years. Yet, embedded within it was a metallic sliver. Not natural. He scanned the object inside the fossil. It was shaped like a spiral. Titanium alloy. A material not discovered until 2783. Impossible. He instructed the Vault AI to initiate deep molecular imaging. As the layers were digitally peeled away, a structure became visible. Not just an object, an artifact. A disc with radial markings not etched but grown into the metal. It looked like writing. A spiral script repeating one symbol over and over. A circle intersected by a jagged line. He had seen that shape once before. In a classified report filed by a failed expedition to Mars in 3115. The mission had recovered fragments of unknown alloy buried under Martian sediment. The same spiral. The same jagged symbol. The mission was never publicly disclosed. Aaron's clearance gave him limited access to that file. Enough to remember one detail. The Martian fragments emitted a signal too. Identical frequency. Someone or something had buried the signal across 2 planets, in 2 time zones. And now the voice inside the fossil was speaking again, this time with new words. Vale, listen now. Timeline fractured. They are watching. He stepped back. Cold ran down his neck. Who was watching? He locked the lab. Disabled external AI access. Switched all systems to analog interface. Vault 6 ran off isolated cores, but he was taking no risks. He stared at the fossil. What was the connection between Mars and Jurassic Earth? How did this message survive 160 million years? Why was it calling him by name? He initiated a full data freeze. Recorded all wave patterns. Input them into the temporal resonance simulator, a tool designed to test theoretical interactions between future tech and past environments. The simulation crashed. A single red line blinked on the screen. You are not alone. Suddenly the lights in the vault dimmed. Power surged. Systems began to reboot on their own. Aaron's manual override failed. Emergency protocols engaged. A voice echoed to the vault speaker. Not the AI. Not the fossil. Something else. You opened it. Now time sees you. A sharp pulse struck the air. Not sound. Pressure. Aaron collapsed. His implant overloaded. When he woke, 3 hours had passed, and the fossil was gone. Aaron crawled to his feet, blood on his temple. He triggered the emergency scan. No breach detected. No access logs. But the artifact was no longer in its containment shell. In its place was a single marking on the chamber floor, drawn in ash, the spiral, with the jagged line. And beneath it one word scratched into the metal. Again. Aaron accessed the vault's internal records. All logs from the past 12 hours had been erased. Not wiped. Burned. Fragments remained like corrupted DNA. He needed answers. He needed outside access. He connected to Lunara Station, the orbiting scientific observatory above Earth's equator. It had deeper archives. The transmission went through. A familiar voice answered. Dr. Malin Rowe, a xenolinguist and Aaron's only remaining colleague from the Fossil Code Project. I was expecting your call, she said without greeting. Aaron froze. You heard it too? I did, she replied, but not through the fossil. He leaned forward. Where then? She hesitated. Through me? Let me know if you'd like to. Continue to the climax, next 1,500 plus words. Review or change anything in this rising action, or add more characters, flashbacks, or background science. Once you approve, I'll move on to the climax, where the core mystery unravels and danger escalates. Ask ChatGPT. Major turning point, biggest challenge. Aaron stared at the comm screen. Malin's face flickered with interference. Behind her, Lunara Station's data chamber glowed with cold blue light. She looked pale, older than he remembered. Her eyes didn't match her voice. Something behind them had changed. You said you heard it through you, he said. Explain. Malin leaned closer. Her voice dropped. It isn't a voice, Aaron. It's memory, compressed across time like a fossil. It doesn't speak to machines. It speaks to what remembers being alive. That's impossible, he replied. She raised her sleeve. Under her skin, faint light pulse in a spiral pattern. The symbol. I didn't touch the artifact, she said. I dreamt it, and when I woke, this was there. Aaron's throat tightened. What does it want? Malin's voice cracked. To be finished. He froze. Finished. She nodded. It was never a message. It's a seed, grown across time, waiting for enough memory in the world to bloom. That's why it buried itself in the Jurassic. The life back then was vast, dense, unfiltered. It stored the blueprint in instinct, and it needed someone in the future to activate it. Why me? Because you believe language can break time. Aaron stood in silence. The fossil hadn't been a container. It was a carrier. The object inside was a temporal parasite. It didn't just exist across time. It fed on it. His mind raced. If it's blooming now, what happens when it finishes? Malin looked directly into the screen. Everything rewinds. The air in Vault 6 grew colder. The lights dimmed again. Aaron checked the atmospheric control. Still functioning. But pressure was dropping. He looked at the security feed. In Chamber 7, the walls were shifting. Not collapsing, changing. He rushed to the chamber. Inside, the metal walls had turned translucent. Layers of Jurassic terrain were phasing through the architecture. Ferns, humid air, the echo of ancient insects. A tear in time. He raised a scanner. The spiral symbol pulsed in the center of the room, hovering midair. A temporal bloom. Suddenly, a figure stepped through the spiral. It was him. Older. Eyes hollow. Skin marked with the same spiral tattoos as Malin. I tried to stop it, the older Aaron said. The younger Aaron staggered back. Were you? Not what? When? The elder version stepped closer. It isn't message. It's a mind, fractured across epochs. It uses memory as its roots and language as its leaves. Every time someone tries to translate it, they grow it further. Aaron's pulse surged. Then how do we kill it? The older Aaron shook his head. You don't. You forget it. Back on the Naris, Malin sent him a final file. A pattern. A linguistic kill switch. Not a code, but a counter-memory. A set of phonemes designed to erase neural resonance. But using it had a cost. If spoken, it would erase not just a memory of the word, but of everything connected to it. Everyone, including Malin, including the part of Aaron that had heard it. He stared at the pattern. 10 symbols. 1 chance. The walls around Vault 6 cracked. The jungle sound of the Jurassic roared through. He activated his memory implant. Began the sequence. The older version of him watched in silence. You'll forget me, he said. I already have, Aaron replied. He spoke the first word. Reality bent. He spoke the second. The bloom dimmed. Third. Time staggered. Fourth. Fifth. Sixth. The spiral began to collapse. Seventh. His vision blurred. Eighth. He forgot the name of the fossil. Ninth. He forgot Malin. 10th. The vault stood quiet. Empty. Aaron Vale stood alone in a cold room, staring at a slab of ancient resin. No pulse. No spiral. No message. He blinked. Why was he here? No memory. Just silence. Would you like me to continue into the falling action next, where the consequences settle in and the emotional weight unfolds? Or would you like to change or expand anything in this climax first? Ask ChatGPT. Aaron Vale no longer remembered the fossil. He stood in Vault SAXS core chamber surrounded by silence. The resin block on the examination table was inert. No signal. No pulse. The data logs were empty. He checked the date. July 28th, 3149. His own name on the assignment sheet. His own signature on the vault entry forms. But no recollection of arriving. No record of discovery. The fossil was just a fossil now. Aaron sat alone for hours, staring at it, waiting for a spark, a glitch, a voice. None came. His implant was still functional, but a large segment of his memory was missing, cleanly erased like a hard reset. Neural diagnostics reported no trauma, no corruption, just absence. And in that absence, peace. Vault 6 ran quietly. Automated routines resumed. The AI offered no alerts. Power stable. Environment stable. Still, something haunted the edge of Aaron's awareness. A shape, a sound he couldn't name. Every night in his dreams, he stood in a jungle filled with stars, and someone was calling to him through the leaves, a name he once knew. Each morning the dream faded before he could hold on to it. He filed a basic report with Central Archives. Fossil analysis. Inconclusive. No anomalous signals. Subject returned to containment. They didn't question it. He sent a message to Lenara Station. No reply. There was no record of Dr. Malin Rowe ever working in xenolinguistics. No personnel file. No credentials. Just a ghost entry. Tag is expunged. He tried once to request restricted archive access to the old Martian expedition data. Access denied. The files had been sealed permanently by a directive dated 2 weeks before his birth. Aaron didn't press. Something deep inside told him to let it be. 3 weeks passed. Vault 6 received new samples from a dig site in southern India. Fossils from the late Triassic. Nothing remarkable. Aaron ran the usual scans. Then he paused. One of the samples, a small fragment of amber, held a strange pattern within it. Not a signal. Not even a design. Just a small imperfection. A spiral. Crude. Natural. Random. Still, it made his heart skip. He turned away. Let it go. In time, the dreams faded. He stopped hearing the jungle. Stopped searching for voices in the stone. But sometimes, when the wind passed through the ventilation shafts just right, it made a sound that brushed the edge of language. And he would pause. Forget why he had stopped working. Forget what he was listening for. Then keep going. Would you like me to proceed with the ending, resolution and closure, where we wrap up the story emotionally, thematically, and with finality? Or should I expand or shift anything in this falling action section first? Ask ChatGPT. Aaron Vale retired from active research 6 months later. No scandal. No incident. Just a quiet resignation filed through a secure line. Central Archives approved it in under an hour. He moved to a weather observatory in the Arctic Circle. Remote. Simple. No fossils. No AI labs. Just wind and ice and sky. He told himself he wanted peace. But part of him was still listening. Each night the auroras would ripple overhead, and he would sit outside the dome wrapped in thermal gear and silence. Sometimes he would hear the crackle of frozen air across metal rails and think it was a voice, a familiar voice. He never spoke of Vault 6 again, never spoke of the dreams. Yet his journals, though sparse, grew more poetic over time. Short passages that wander between science and something deeper. One entry read, "The past is not behind us. It coils around us. It waits in stone and thought in blood. We are not the end of time. We are its echo." Another, "If language survives extinction, then memory is immortal." 15 years later, on a spring evening at the observatory, Aaron Vale passed away quietly in his sleep. No records were found of any immediate family. His last will contained only one instruction: "Bury me with stone." They laid him to rest beneath a glacier shelf, beside a boulder from the Jurassic stratum. Simple, dark, uncut. No inscriptions. Just a rock. A year after his death, a glaciologist discovered something unusual. The stone left at Aaron's grave had a natural fault line in its center. Along the fault, weathering had shaped a strange pattern. It looked like a spiral, intersected by a jagged line.